Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the most important recorded projects ever in the world of classical music. And today we're going to be talking about one of the really major ones. I'm talking about the BIS Sibelius Complete Edition, the project to record every scrap of music that Sibelius wrote, no matter how fragmentary. And they basically did it. I mean, they really did. It's kind of astonishing. They got things that Sibelius didn't even want to write. It's amazing. And that thing comes on, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 separate boxes. And they're beautifully organized in the by name. You get Jean, you get Jean on this batch of them, and you get, let me see if I can do this without causing a disaster, which is always with me imminent, you know. Here we go. Sibelius, there they are. There are the rest of them. Numbers, you know, the rest are numbers something through 13, right? 6 through 13. There we are. So, what does this contain? First of all, let's talk about, before we get to what it contains, why it's so important. Sibelius is a composer who just about everybody liked, except for René Leibowitz, who thought he was the worst composer in the world. And he's known for a few works, but he wrote scads of music. A lot of it, you know, is piano music, for example, to make money, because he was always short of money. He liked to live well, very well. And although Finland subsidized him, he was not subsidized to the degree of luxury that he thought was appropriate to a person of his attainments. And so, you know, money was always an issue. So he wrote tons of music. Not all of it sounds like the Sibelius we're used to. He was first and foremost a composer for the orchestra, a wonderful, amazing, unique composer for the orchestra. But he also wrote tons of orchestral music that we hadn't heard before this edition came out. I'm thinking of the original version of the Fifth Symphony, Kullervo Complete, we'd heard Kullervo. It was on, you know, EMI originally, but you know, the original versions of the Lemminkainen tone poems. There, let me correct myself. The original versions of Oceanides, the tone poem, the Wood Nymph, which is of the same length as the Seventh Symphony, and it was completely neglected until Robert von Bahr and the team at BIS dug it up and performed it. It's just incredible how much stuff there was out there and how good a lot of it really was. All of the incidental music in suite form, some of which we knew, and in its original form, Finlandia, all 57 versions of it, with chorus, without chorus, the underwater version, the outer space version, everything. Incredible variety of material. The early chamber works, his history as a composer, the way that he found his style and evolved, the original version of the violin concerto. Now, one of the things we learned in hearing all these original versions is that Sibelius' second thoughts were invariably better. They're never better than the revised versions. Never, ever. I know some of you have said, oh yeah, I think the original version of the Fifth is better because it sounds more like pine trees and forest groves. It's nonsense. Sibelius knew what he was doing. And he was often pressed for time. Sometimes he was in a rush. Sometimes he had a writer's block. Whenever he had time to think about it and revise things, everything got better. That's a fact. But we can hear it, and it's fun to have the opportunity to hear it. So now, let's look at this unbelievable edition, which is all the more unbelievable because it was done not by a major label, BIS is a major label. Very major artistically, but in terms of economically, it was done by a small, independent Swedish label that found first-class artists. And, this edition happened in tandem with the awakening of Scandinavia as a cultural powerhouse of Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, the orchestras, their artists becoming, known to the world, and proving that they're absolutely as good as anyone else in the universe. And here it all is. What an amazing legacy this is. And let's start with Jean. Volume 1 gives you the complete tone poems, including alternative versions. Volume 2 gives you the complete string quartets, piano trios, and piano quartets. And there are 4 string quartets. Who knew, right? They're early. Not all of them are mature, whatnot. They don't sound like the Sibelius we know and love. No. But they're good works. They're interesting to hear. It's lovely. The piano thing is, what is this thing? The piano quartets. Yeah, a couple of those are lovely. Then we've got the complete music for voice and orchestra, of which there's a ton. Now, this includes Kullervo and his ceremonial music, his single one-act opera, The Maiden in the Tower, some great songs with orchestra like The Rapid Rider's Brides and Sandals and Snowfrid, the cantatas, The Origin of Fire and The Captive Queen. I mean, these are really wonderful works, some of these. They really are. And who knew, right? And then we've got, let's see, the complete piano music 1 and music for the theater. Original versions and concert suites. I wonder how many discs that is. Does it tell us? It's a lot of stuff. Sibelius wrote a ton of theatrical music. There's 7 hours and 45 minutes. And it's 6 CDs. So some marvelous music there. Now that's Jean. Let's do Sibelius now. Oh, that was Jean. And Sibelius has, here we go. Let's see. Music for violin and piano, the complete music for violin and piano, of which there's quite a bit, 5 CDs worth. Amazing. He did these arrangements to make money, but they're fun to hear, and some of the music is just delicious, absolutely delicious. The complete songs with piano. Now, the songs, some of them are glorious, absolutely glorious. Most of them are in Swedish, by the way, not finished. This is 5 CDs in this box. And then we have orchestral works, including preliminary and alternative versions, including the violin concerto, both versions, the Karelia and press celebrations music. Karelia became the Karelia Suite. The press celebrations music had all kinds of fun stuff in it that we hear later. The serenades, the humoresques and serious melodies for violin and orchestra. Rockastava, the late suites, Mignon, Champêtre, and Characteristique, which his wife despised because he wrote them to make money and she thought he should be writing grand symphonies and other things like that. So that's cool. Then we get, let's see here, chamber music 2, the piano quintet. That's the thing in G minor. Beautiful work. Absolutely beautiful work. And, oh, this is weird. The Lizard, Odna. That's incidental music for strings. Melodrama from Nights of Jealousy. When was the last time you heard that? String duos and trios, music for cello and piano. Music for kantele, which is a Finnish folk instrument. And then we've got, let's see here, the complete piano music 2. Original works and transcriptions. Now, Sibelius's piano music is sort of famous for being somewhat unpianistic and odd-sounding and written theoretically without the seriousness of his other works, but there are marvelous pieces. There's the sonatinas, for example, or the kailiki, or whatever those things are called, which are just marvelous. And then we've got choral music, the complete works for male, mixed, female, and children's choir a cappella, and with piano and organ accompaniment. And there's a lot of this stuff. This is 6 CDs worth of stuff. Most of this was written for, to order for special occasions, and doesn't sound like his orchestral music at all, but how could it? Let's see, and then we have symphonies. Here are all the symphonies, including the original 1915 version of Symphony No. 5, and previously unrecorded fragments and early versions of movements from symphonies numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. Whoa, baby! And last but not least, miscellaneous works, including preliminary and alternative versions of all kinds of stuff, including Sibelius conducting his Andante Festivo, the only record we have of him conducting his own music, which has been done before. I mean, it's appeared, it's public domain, lots of people have it. Anyway, so there you go. It's an amazing legacy by a tremendous composer. Was he uneven? Yes, of course he was. He was a working composer who had to do all kinds of things for all kinds of reasons. But at his best, he was incomparable, and there is a lot of music in here that finds him at his best that people don't know. And the fact that BIS was able to do this, I mean, out of nowhere comes this small, plucky label run by an absolute maniac in Robert von Barr, a guy who makes records and doesn't delete them, who leaves them in print. My God, he believes in his legacy and in the beauty and importance of what he did. And this particular edition is second to none in terms of its historical importance and artistic merit. And the fact that it came from where it came from makes it only more extraordinary. So keep on listening, friends. Thank you for joining me. Take care.